Dr. Warren, you the man. People know you, man. You famous, man.
Yeah, you do.
No. You get like 5,000 hits on YouTube, man. Come on. Dr. Warren, I asked you, I think last night or this morning, the question is very basic. Who runs the world? Are there like 500 families, wealthy families that run the planet Earth, man?
Quite as real as should I say, it's crazy as it sounds, that's absolutely true. I mean, the money, you got quite a bit of legacy money. You got the Rockefellers, you got the Schiffs. This money is in the warehouse. This money isn't just further away as our NBA or black players or football. This money is passed on. They have a great deal of political clout and financial clout, and I'm talking about and then they have these corporations interlocked. And a good book is the Committee of 300 by John Coleman. He points this out. Boy, these wealthy families, together with the corporate moguls, they got everything interlocked with these corporations. So it's definitely they have a situation where the political situation in this country and the world is definitely controlled by maybe a good 500 or 600 families.
500 or 600 families. Now, when you read the book, like the Committee of 300 book, I was told to read 20 years ago, I ain't got to it yet. But do these people talk to each other? These rich, super rich families, super rich people, do they talk to each other?
Well, more than likely they talk to each other, and not only they talk to each other, they meet together, they go to the same schools, children's, golf clubs, country clubs, everything. These families are pretty well set. I mean, and you got to, the situation is the corporations are interlocked, so definitely they meet, and they have various agendas, especially if one good example to show you is the tax situation worldwide. The money that you have offshore are usually these wealthy families and corporations. They've been doing this for hundreds of years. This is just not just started, where Obama came in and had these families to money up. The fact is that those were not the really wealthy folks. I'm talking about these are folks that control major corporations. They decide whether we want to go to war, what type of thing. The Bilderberg meetings, Committee of 300, these are very wealthy.
Trilateral Commission. You're not gonna mention the Trilateral Commission, are you?
Yeah, Trilateral Commission. These are very wealthy families that have a great deal of as they say, hookup in terms of the whole world, in terms of perpetuating their agenda and making sure that their wealth stays within those families and such that they cannot be undermined. As you talk about the New World Agenda, whatever you want to talk about, these people are well taken care of, and they are the people that write the laws indirectly or indirectly.
Well, they got us little people. They got us little people fighting amongst each other for the crumbs, man.
Well, that's the way the system works. It's always worked like that. I mean, we're dealing with a democracy. Even when we had a situation where you had kings and queens and monarchies, these families literally rule the throne. So, and they really rule the political situation. And as the scriptures pointed out, it said the rich will always rule, or the scripture says, it said the borrower is subject to the lender.
The borrower is subject to the lender.
And so these people
I'm a borrower.
Well,
I borrow money.
well, we know what that leads to.
That's right.
And the type of impact that they have on shaping political agendas, as I pointed out, and etc. Just to take, for instance, simple things like Monsanto, making GMO, genetic modified food. I mean, they do what they want. They write the laws. They're being passed by Congress, and they're being enforced.
In fact, Monsanto don't even want you to know what type of food you eating. All our food should be labeled GMO or non-GMO. Monsanto don't want that.
That's the problem we're talking about. We're talking about money. We're talking about wealth. We're talking about power. We're talking about great oil families that have started wars. Rockefellers, Shell Oil. All of these were wealthy families hooked up with government agenda to perpetuate the agenda, not only as far as wealth, but as far as world policy, as far as nations and countries. So whether we want to talk about the Queen of England, which is a German, she's not English.
Well, the English came from Germany. I was understand, watching the History Channel, they came from Germany and migrated to what we call England.
Well, yeah.
That's what I mean. That's what I was told.
Well,
watching
I'm talking
TV.
about- well,
But she's really a German. She's not even English.
right. That whole family is
German. Wow.
So that goes to show you the impact that they have on the world as far as shaping the agenda of what you eat, what you think, what you wear, what you know, higher education. All of this is shaped, and in terms of these schools, yes, you know, the University of Chicago. Remember, its name was in the University of Chicago early in the 1920s. It's called Rockefeller University.
What?
So-
Now I know. Now we're down the street from where we're at, really pretty much at the University of Chicago.
This is-
right here. This is it right here. I don't know if people see the whole. Yeah, it's the university right over there. But we're right here at the University of Chicago. But
Which
they have
is the
Rockefeller. They have Rockefeller Chapel.
Rockefeller Chapel.
But I never knew the school was called what?
It was called Rockefeller University.
Rockefeller University. But I heard the Rockefeller started Morehouse,
Well, they started.
Spelman, or whatever. None of them black schools.
Many of those black schools were started in the 1920s for the fact that they wanted some of the wealthy blacks, educational blacks, to be educated during the time of segregation in the 1920s and 30s. So that was very common.
They want to create a black elite.
That's exactly right. That is a problem.
There is a black elite.
There is a black
Oh,
elite,
yeah.
just like there's a white elite.
Yeah.
But I mean, they don't have the power.
Oh hell no.
We know that.
Yeah,
So
no.
I mean, they are more or less servants for these.
Well, they there. I mean, do they actually know? I'm not sorry to cut you off, doctor, but do they actually know that they're there to maintain the status quo?
That's basically it.
I mean, whether they know it or not,
Well,
they're
they-
there to maintain the status quo.
Oh, definitely. That's not only here. That whether you're talking about Africa, whether
Yeah.
you're talking about anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
These people come from all over the world at major universities: Rockefeller University, University of Chicago, MIT, Harvard, Stanford. All of these major universities were funded by very wealthy families initially. It's especially your private universities. And just like, for instance, we have who did Obama nominated into the Commerce there, one of the Priscas. You know what she said? They told her, they started looking at her for wealth. She said, well, I had these offshore trusts. I didn't set them up. I don't control them. Well, and they said, well, she's an excellent businesswoman. Well, if you got a trust,
Yeah.
4 or 5 offshore trusts,
Yeah.
how can you not fail?
Yeah.
It's impossible for you to fail.
That's what I'm saying. But they wealthy, man. The Penny Priskin and the family don't understand. They say they the Hyatt hotels.
Right.
That's them. That's
Right.
their family.
She happened to be born into it.
That's right.
See, you know what I'm saying? That's what we're talking about.
And that's not saying she's a bad person.
No, I'm not saying
we,
it's a bad
we didn't need to know who we're dealing with.
But that carries weight, though. People don't
That's right.
understand. That carries weight. And they fail to understand, especially middle class,
Yeah.
that they think that their votes count. Well, they do in certain situations, but in the overall scheme of things,
Right.
the agenda, your vote don't matter. And that's very clear because most of the jobs in the country were shipped overseas to China and Asia.
I'm sorry for cutting you off. People get mad when I cut in, but let's talk about Obama. Then we talk about these public schools in Chicago. Obama he's not born a part of the elite, if you will, right?
No, he's not
But
born.
now he is part of the elite.
Yeah, well, as far as a servant, you know, or an official,
Wait, you say he's a servant of the elite?
I say a servant.
Yeah.
It's a difference between actual bloodline,
Yeah, okay.
like Bush and Bush Jr. I mean, that's a distinction there. He's going in following the plan.
And people got to understand that the powers that be, the 500 families, all these people, these rich folks that we don't know, a lot of these names and whatnot, they control our thinking through the schools we go to and the TV and the media we watch. So people say, I think for myself. No, you don't.
Don't nobody think for themselves. From the fact that you went to school,
Yeah.
and you watching television, you watching movies, the books and magazines, you all read. So your taste is shaped, your attitude, disposition, all that is all being shaped and molded by people that you don't even know or haven't even seen, and they operate behind the scene. See, and that's what people fail to understand. Our foreign policy is also manufactured by these same folks that have an agenda. We can go back to the 1920s down in South America, Cuba, where you had the very wealthy United Fruit, the fruit companies, and that was growing fruits down in South America, how they just abused those type of folks. But then, you know, and if they had any trouble, they had the political clout to call the American troops down there to force them. So ain't nothing changed. It's just that the subtlety and the power that people cannot see, they do it much more subtle now.
Those people know that's one of the reasons for the U.S. military is to get folks in line so the corporations can make money.
That's it.
Don't they know that?
No.
They said we fight for freedom. We fight for American justice. We fight for the American way. Nah, you fight for the corporations.
You fight for corporations, you fight for power, and you fight for control over resources.
That's right. Control. That's why people go to war. Control over resources.
That's exactly right.
That's right. Now let's go back to Chicago and maybe we go back to the international realm here. People fight. They mad here in Chicago because they're closing the public schools and all this kind of yin yang. And people want to fight the mayor, and they want to fight the teachers union. They want to fight the charter schools, but we still fighting over the crumbs.
Well,
it's a much bigger world out there we're dealing with.
It's exactly right. Well, the situation is the Chicago public schools have a $1 billion deficit. They had to close those schools and do a massive layoff. They don't have the tax base. Most folks don't understand. Simply, the tax base has moved overseas as a result of the same families that decided to move this stuff to China for cheaper labor. Why can't people quite understand
The city broke, the state broke, the county broke, the country's broke.
The country's broke. A good example is Detroit. Detroit has actually finally come out. They have a trustee that have come in, and he says, you know what, it's worse than what I thought. And he says only two ways out of this. We're going to have some layoffs, and the most important, we're going to cut the pension and the benefits of the people. That's what we've been telling people. I said, it's coming here. We're in the state of Illinois, and most people don't realize the state of Illinois is $100 billion in debt. How are they going to fund? Who's going to pay for $100 billion? And the taxes already went up 70%. That's the income tax. Where do they get this money from?
They're going to have to cut the pensions.
That's exactly right.
They got to raise taxes.
And raise taxes and cut the pension.
And people understand, especially if you were poor in Chicago, poor anybody, and no matter if it's public school, charter school, not private school, but public school, charter school, whatever school they come up with, whatever closing school, poor people are not going to get education. The average poor person is not going to be educated.
He's not going to get the quality education.
That's right.
And we started talking about Francis Parking up over on the north side. Well, you know, it costs $25,000, $30,000 a year just to go to
a grammar school.
That's a high school.
Oh, that's what it is? Well, what about the Latin school up there?
Latin school's a good 15 or 20.
And the lab school, the laboratory school right behind us, some over here.
University of Chicago.
That's a ton of money.
That's a ton of money.
Now, like I said, I don't have a problem per se with Rahm Emanuel, but he sent his children to the lab school, laboratory school, University of Chicago. Barack Obama did. They send their children to the lab school.
Anybody that's got any money is not sending them kids to public schools. Those schools are just made to sort of satisfy the middle class.
Right.
To come in and do the work, and do the technical work and trade for the so-called wealthy.
Then what I'm saying is, say, the poor, like I said, if you're really poor or working class, a lot of working class people not gonna watch this show. It's too intellectual for them, or pseudo-intellectual for them. But the point is that they understand you're a pawn in the game of life. There's an old saying that was from the movie Blazing Saddles. You're a pawn in the game of life. Do they understand that you pawns?
No,
you screaming and hollering, but you're a pawn in the game.
Well, they don't understand where the power lies,
right.
The true power, and they think the political power lies with the politicians that they see up front, not realizing that there's a greater power that operates behind the scene. It's just like the dollar's going through what it's going through. It's being trashed throughout the world, and yet people don't understand that what they need to do is get some silver and gold. But they never taught those type of things now, and as a result, the type of poverty that they're going to suffer as a result of the debt situation is going to be unimaginable.
My time has run out. I was going to do 15 minutes. I got 1 minute left. The end review. People got to understand you shouldn't be hopeless in spite of the Committee of 300, all these rich people running the world. We shouldn't be hopeless.
No, that's always a way out. We told you through the spirit, through the idea of having a divine knowledge, knowing what and where to do. From a physical standpoint, gold and silver. The idea of being able to preserve yourself, to be able to supplement just understanding now the market is being manipulated. Why we had 15,000 on the Dow and 1,600 on the S&P 500? Everybody sees the Dow going up. Everything is all right. Everything is happy.
It's gonna crash again.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna crash again, but most people haven't understood that now.
Well, we got to tap into the what? The power latent in man.
The power latent. That's that inner voice that will give you the intuition to be able to discern and operate and not be caught up in no mess for the Mystery Babylon system.
Dr. Warren, once again, we got to tap into that power latent in man, right, Dr. Warren?
That's right.
All right, man. You the man, Dr. Warren.
Take care. Take care.
Dr. Warren's the man.